A cyclist in Salt Lake City has accused a police officer of wrongly tackling him during the 999 ride. He suffered torn ligaments in both knees when he struck the pavement after the blindside tackle. The 999 ride consists of dozens of cyclists in Salt Lake City that gather every single Thursday to ride their bikes together. That's a lot of bicycling. One cyclist, Kimball Brooks, is suing Salt Lake City and one of its police officers, accusing the officer of tackling him off his bike during the 999 ride in May, causing injuries. So, in a lawsuit filed Monday in U.S. District Court in Utah, Kimball Brooks, 29, says he was participating in the ride with a group of friends on May 1st when they stopped at a red light at 200 South and Main Street in downtown Salt Lake City. At the intersection at 10:21 p.m. that night, Brooks alleges in the lawsuit the officer, Mark Moran, confronted Brooks and his group of cyclists. Moran told the group to get off their bikes, but Brooks, who was stopped in a shared lane used by cyclists and cars, said he didn't think the officer was talking to him, so he kept riding, the lawsuit said. According to the lawsuit, Moran ran after Brooks and knocked him off his bike without warning in a blindside tackle. With no chance to brace for impact, the lawsuit states Brooks, who said he was already recovering from a recent knee injury, hit the concrete curb with both knees and his head struck a pillar. The impact injured Brooks's knees, according to the lawsuit, and left a gash on his right temple. The lawsuit says Moran told the group he was going to cite the group for violating some traffic laws before Brooks took off. The officer told Brooks he was going to jail for fleeing, failure to yield to traffic signals, and using a bicycle without a headlamp or a rear reflector, according to the lawsuit. The lawsuit also says Moran did not tell Brooks at which traffic signal he failed to yield. Those kinds of injuries, his knees falling onto the concrete, he's going to have pain from that probably for the rest of his life. Like things like that don't recover as seamlessly as one would hope. And all for what? He's going to have to be dealing with this, if not for the rest of his life, then for a very long time. So the photos and video captured from the officer's body camera are not publicly available, as they should be. Brooks was not criminally charged according to the lawsuit, but was instead taken by ambulance to the University of Utah hospital, where he was treated for torn ACLs and meniscus tears in both knees. The lawsuit says Brooks, who works in a security system he worked as a security system installation technician, lost income while he was treated for his injuries. Brooks's attorney declined to say what his current condition is as he recovers from his injuries. In the lawsuit, Brooks is asking for a declaratory judgment that his rights were violated, as well as financial compensation for what happened. And over the years, some drivers have reported frustration that some cyclists disregard traffic rules. Brooks's lawsuit alleges Salt Lake City police have been encouraged to crack down on the activity. And in 2024, police officials told Salt Lake City Tribune that officers were making their presence known on the ride's route to tamp down on illegal activities such as littering and noise complaints. However, a police spokesperson said at the time, it's not an enforcement crackdown. This is not a get tough approach. The bicyclists are not the crime that you need to be targeting with so much aggression and so much physical force. This is crazy. The fact that this person is likely going to have lasting damage from the injuries that were inflicted upon him. He has already lost money through work. He is going to lose even more money through his medical bills and from ongoing medical treatment that he is surely to require for, again, like I said, if not for the rest of his life, and then for the foreseeable future. None of that is going to be taken into consideration because this is just a day in the life of this cop. He was just doing his job, protecting the people of Salt Lake City from like this really menacing thing that is attacking their city. This is a real crime. This is a real threat, according to the police department. And I guess good for them, because if this is the worst thing going on in Salt Lake City, then I'm sure it's a lovely place. Waz, what do you make of this before we go on?
I mean, cyclists are some of the most vulnerable people on the road, period. They're kind of taking their lives into their own hands every time they leave the house. To be honest, when you're driving amongst, cars that are moving at the speeds that cars tend to move at. And so the idea that this officer felt like they needed to enforce, some kind of safety laws is just like, bro, like a cyclist is not putting anybody's life in danger or well-being in danger aside from their own. And so this idea that they needed to treat it that way, and then like, first of all, one of those injuries is a traumatic major injury. You tear your left meniscus and that's all you did, like you're rehabbing that thing for a really long time. You tear both your meniscuses and your ACLs, like this is unbelievable amount of rehab and recovery to get back to normal. Not to mention, of course, this guy's doing a job that is physical labor, you know. It just yeah, it's just ruinous, honestly. And it's a shame that this even had to happen in the first place. And you would hope that the cops, the authorities would understand, like, all right, man, let's do the right thing here. One of our guys made a horrible mistake and compounded it with more, you know, being an ass on top of that, but let's try to, make this thing right.
Yeah, I mean, that's such a good point about how dangerous it is for cyclists out there. And, communities, towns, counties, whoever, they should make a better effort to make places more, to make streets more hospitable to pedestrians and to cyclists. Because, I think if we can get more people out of cars, I think that's better for everyone. But don't get me started on public transit and urban design, because God knows I've talked Sharon's ear off about that in the past. But it's true. I know here in Houston, we had plans for more bike lanes, and our new mayor, who is very much a dino, a Democrat in name only, he just nixed the plans. He said, nope, we're not doing that anymore. And it was like years of work that people had put in to make our city and our streets safer and more accessible to people, just gone out the window. So hopefully, once we get rid of him, whenever that is, we can get those plans back and back in action. But the progress has been gone.